South Africa's politics have been rocked once more by the country's judiciary boldly taking an unprecedented step, calling out President Cyril Ramaphosa to appear in court to face questions that will be hard-hitting and unyielding. The statement fell like a political thunderclap, ringing through the institutions of the country and sparking debate in Parliament, in the newsrooms and across social media. This action, celebrated by some as a resounding triumph for transparency and accountability, is also sending shockwaves in the corridors of power in the Union Buildings and Latuli House. The timing matters. South Africa is entering a sensitive election year, and the governing African National Congress is already beset by internal strife, low public confidence and increasing opposition party pressure. In these circumstances, for the judiciary to call the sitting head of state to appear before it sends a signal not only to Ramaphosa but to the political class as a whole: nobody is above the law. The move follows months of increasing pressure from opposition parties, civil society organizations, investigative journalism, and whistleblowers. The groups have accused the president of avoiding direct questioning on a series of contentious decisions, policy blunders, and alleged involvement in dubious financial transactions. At the heart of most of these allegations is the yet-to-be-resolved failure farm scandal, which has plagued the president for more than 2 years and cast uncomfortable shadows on transparency, allegations of money laundering, and unreported foreign currency transactions. The court's insistence on Ramaphosa's in-person testimony is no mere ritual, it is a dramatic assertion of judicial powers. The judiciary has of late been accused of political pusillanimity, willing often to let high-profile cases languish or simply disappear from view. But this subpoena indicates a judiciary that will no longer sit quietly while the executive branch of government is acted out behind closed doors. Sources within the legal circle have termed the decision a judicial power flex, a carefully staged demonstration of power meant to reaffirm the courts as a co-equal branch of government. This is a clear message that the presidency cannot act with impunity. One senior advocate said constitutional law specialists concur, stating the trial might prove to be a watershed moment in South Africa's democratic development, reaffirming the independence of the judiciary and its determination to confront the nation's most influential leaders. Although the precise range of the questioning is kept secret, sources suggest the court will question Ramaphosa on various fronts. Beyond failure, judges will be asked to get to the bottom of COVID-19 procurement, where billions were splashed with minimal public scrutiny. There are also rumors that the questions will probe into allegations of behind-the-scenes political intrigue in the ANC, including the use of state resources to campaign for internal party elections. However, judges will require clear, unequivocal responses with no room for political spin or skillfully crafted evasions. Political commentators caution that this public courtroom jury may put Ramaphosa on thin ice. The president has constructed his political identity on diplomatic caution and a profile of measured, near-scripted public speech. But standing before a panel of cool, dispassionate judges is a very different test. In court, the president will be asked questions sworn under oath on the spot without the security of speechwriters or scripted replies. Any hesitation, inconsistency, or avoidance may feed into the narrative of his critics that he has something to conceal. Responses throughout the political spectrum have been swift and forceful. The Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, traditionally one of Ramaphosa's harshest critics, have pounced. EFF leader Julius Malema branded it the day of reckoning for a president accused of taking refuge behind the technicalities of the law and stalling accountability. The Democratic Alliance, DA, has echoed the same sentiments, presenting the court subpoena as a long-awaited test of South Africa's constitutional promise of equality before the law. DA officials have claimed that this case will either demonstrate that the judiciary is brave enough to hold those in power to account or vindicate fears that the country's institutions have been undermined. Meanwhile, inside ANC circles, tensions are reportedly running high. Some party insiders fear that Ramaphosa's testimony could inadvertently implicate other senior members, triggering factional warfare just months ahead of the national elections. The ANC's internal divisions, long simmering beneath the surface, could spill out into the open if the president's answers pull others into the spotlight. Others in the party, however, contend that the court appearance can be a moment of redemption for Ramaphosa to finally exonerate himself and shut his critics up. Supporters think that if the president can convincingly answer questions, he could not only get through the ordeal but come out stronger, positioning himself as a leader who is willing to withstand the country's fiercest grilling. The danger, though, is that the trust of the public may already be so broken that such an appearance will not produce the intended result. For average South Africans, the picture of a sitting president on the hot seat in a courtroom is both unprecedented and highly symbolic. Following decades of corruption scandals, the period of state capture, and numerous promises and betrayals of reform, many view this as more than simply another political melodrama. It is a trial of whether South Africa's democratic institutions can still work as designed. The reality that the case is playing out so in public makes it additionally significant. Citizens will be able to view in real time whether the same legal standards applied to regular folks can be made to stick on the nation's most influential office holder. Civil society groups have already made public their plans to closely watch the proceedings. Activist groups contend that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity when the nation's political leaders can be held responsible in an environment where influence, money, and political connections are less powerful. Others have even likened it to the pivotal moments of the post-apartheid era when the new democracy was new and institutions were yet to be proven. Whatever the result, one thing is certain: the coming days will be legally intense, politically charged, and possibly historic. If the judiciary is resolute and will not yield to political blackmail, this might set the tone for a new era where accountability is not merely a campaign slogan. Such a precedent might give the courts the confidence to hear other cases against senior officials, redrawing the balance of power in South African politics. But the consequences are also high if the process breaks down. If the proceedings get undermined, delayed, or hijacked, it could reconfirm cynicism and deepen public distrust not just in the presidency but the judiciary as well. There are still many South Africans who recall splashy cases that died on the vine with no accountability, leaving behind a sour taste of impunity for the powerful. A breakdown here would be another justice-denied tale told and retold. Over the next few weeks, every word, every move, and every legal argument will be picked apart by analysts, reporters, and citizens themselves.